Hello, everybody, and welcome to Planet Sky FF, the world where everything revolves around £50,000. James, how are we doing?
I'm all right, Suj. How you doing? Don't want to introduce yourself today?
Regular listeners and all that jazz. I reckon, here's a prediction for you. I reckon we will know who wins Sky FF. It'll be one of the community, as opposed to somebody random that no one's heard of.
Not necessarily. Not necessarily.
I reckon it's going to be someone from the community, because there's quite a lot. Basically, there's quite a lot of people doing very well at the moment.
So just be someone who appears on Fantasy Football Hub on a Sunday night who's you never heard of before in May.
Quite possibly. End of another week, as we are in this jam-packed session, like kind of part of the season where we can jump around and get some 2-for-1s and 3-for-1s and all that kind of stuff. You had a very good week, James. Tell everybody how you did, where you're up to, and then I'll give my rundown, and then we can do what we do each and every week, which is talk about captaincies, transfer strategy, as well as all the questions that we had on Twitter.
Had a monster. Had a game week rank of 201.
Wow.
I'm up to 551st overall, with a total game week score of 143 points. That's from 11 players. Admittedly, I bought 2 players in. I sold Bruno Fernandes, 4 points. Dominic Calvert-Lewin, 10 points on Sunday. For Oriol Romeo and Mo Salah. And that's put another 42 points on top of obviously what would have been a 101 score. So left Martinez and Grealish in, obviously 0 points. 2-pointer from Dallas. He's essentially my only complete blank. Gabriel, 4-pointer. I was always going to hit past him here at Tottenham. The differential boy has done the business for me this week, really. 32 points from Matip, Robertson and Bamford. And I spoke last week about this kind of, at some point, you got to make a decision that's out there and a little bit different. And my time is now, basically. So they've done the business for me this week. Gone. De Bruyne, 40-pointer Saturday. Salah, 30-pointer Sunday. 9 points from Jamie Vardy as well. 12 points for Oriol Romeo, captain Monday night, who's now hit tackle tier in 7 of his 11 games this season. The man of the match was a little bit of a bonus. I think Vestergaard probably should have got it, having watched the game. But I was actually conscious watching it. It was going to be one of the 2 of them. So It wasn't a major surprise to see after that actually he picked it up. So that's a bonus because, to be honest, my expectation on that in terms of best would have been a 5-pointer to make 10. So to get 6, great.
So when you said you had 11 players, so you've got Grealish in your squad, so you
and
left
Martinez and Martinez left them both in.
That's very good. I ended up on 120 points, which again is a very good score. But this week gave me a game week rank of just about 4,000. And it's halved my overall rank, give or take. I was at like 7,000 something, and now I'm at 4,000 something.
Good boy.
And I made one transfer, which ended up being a bit of a mistake, potentially. But I went from Grealish to Ruben Diaz. Straight away, Diaz comes in with a lovely 10-pointer. I, like you, only had a couple of blanks. Patricio blanked for me, which was not great. And Stuart Dallas as well blanked for me. But Gabriel, Robertson and Diaz did okay. My Zuma to your Matip, but obviously Matip got a clean sheet as well. So that's a little bit where you snuck ahead. Romeo, I'd already had in. My captain, Kevin De Bruyne's 40 points, lovely. Bruno Fernandes is 4 points, lovely. I had Vardy captain on Sunday, not Salah. And I had Raheem Sterling, who got 13 points, which was decent. But that captaincy not having Salah was the differential there. And obviously Matip points, that would have got me up to closer to that 140, which is where you were at. But I can't complain at 120 points and getting up to 4,000 now. And I'm still sitting on 28 transfers. You must be similar, 27, 28 transfers.
Yeah, I'm down to 28. It's interesting in terms of captaincy. Sunday was tough, right? So a lot of people would have had Harry Kane as well.
And everybody did okay. There wasn't a huge number of points.
Oh, yeah. Everybody be relatively... I mean, to be honest, even the Vardy owners will be really happy because, like, you know, it's looking like a 2-pointer, basically. He's returned at the end. Yeah, he gets booked with a celebration, but then he gets the man of the match on top of it as well.
Yeah.
So the goal was worth like 8 points or so. It was interesting. One of the things I was seeing on my timeline Sunday morning on Twitter was I'm going to go Vardy because he's the one that's probably going to be he's the one that's most owned.
Okay.
And I was sitting there with the exact opposite thought, sitting there thinking, I'm going Salah because he ain't often going to be a differential like this.
Mm.
So, and on paper, you're looking at going Vardy away to Sheffield United. My conclusion was, like, how many times are you going to get in behind? The answer was for 90 minutes, none.
Yep.
The risk, of course, is Salah against Wolves. Do you expect him to go off? And it's probably just a case I was looking at going, look, can Salah get the one and Vardy blank, for example? But obviously, the way it's worked out, during the day, Kane got a little bit more than Vardy, and then Salah got another 5 points on top of that. It worked out really nicely. There'll be
How
a lot
many
of people
points
who
do you
had all
have?
three.
Yeah. How many points do you have overall now, James?
Oh,
1,070.
that's a good question. Hold on a moment, and I will tell you if my phone doesn't fuck up on me. I am on 1,068. I'm now on 50 points off 100th.
Right. So you're 70 points ahead of me now. I'm on 990. 70 points feels like a lot, but also I think it's not a huge amount. And that 70 points gets me from 4,000 in the world to 500 or wherever you are. So just a little bit of context for the listeners out there in terms of rank and what have you. We always get questions each and every week about what's a good rank. Well, there isn't one right now, but measuring it in terms of how many points are you away from is interesting. So if I'm, you said 50 points off the top 100, you are?
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah, so that's 120 points for me. It's not crazy with the number of weeks
Not at all.
and what have you left coming up. We'll need to make a few Maverick moves, but we will. In terms of this specific week, I did make a mistake, James, in that obviously
you forgot to log in.
No. I haven't done that yet. And I think, to be fair, I should get a lot of credit for that, getting 12 weeks without forgetting to set a captain. But you'd talked previously about the Bruno to Salah jump around and making sure that you had a 4-3-3 or a 3-4-3 or whatever to allow you to do that. Grealish not being available, I wanted to move him on. And that was already originally part of my plan because I thought there's 3-for-1s and 2-for-1s that I could get on him before they play Burnley. But I moved him to Ruben Diaz because I really wanted, and I think I was blinded by wanting Ruben Diaz more than thinking about the next transfers further down the line. So I ended up with 5 at the back, which means I couldn't then do the Fernandes to Salah jump. And looking at it, I thought, you know what, I've got Vardy. He'll probably just about cover me off. I'll skip it because the next game for Liverpool, Wolves, was I really that excited about Wolves? The next game's Fulham, I can make that move then. But then it's left me in a bit of a hamstrung situation where I need to make 2 moves to be able to afford Salah, which I shouldn't have got myself into that situation. Having said that, Ruben Diaz is a great asset for the next few weeks. I'm happy to hold him. So my plan now is I need to move Vardy on to give me money to be able to afford to buy Salah. And I'll have to move Vardy on without getting a fixture gain. That's the difficult, unfortunate situation I'm in. So my plan is now to go from Vardy to Bamford on Friday.
Okay.
Which will give me enough money to sell Fernandes after the Saturday game against Man City and buy Salah. And then in match week 13...
You can't do that.
Why?
Because that would be 5-2-3.
Sorry, Sterling to Salah. That's correct. Sterling to Salah.
Okay, yeah.
And then I'm going to get back Bruno and Grealish after on the Thursday midweek when United playing Sheffield United and Villa are playing Burnley.
And is it all affordable? So who'd be the 4 guys
affordable.
then on the Thursday?
Who will be my 4 guys?
Yeah.
It will be Dallas and possibly Gabriel.
How are you going to afford that?
I've got it on my spreadsheet here in front of me.
I mean, if you can afford it, great. But
well, I'm gonna do the hokey pokey. The ultimate point being, though, I want to bring it back down to what's useful for listeners. It's getting stuck with 5 at the back was a problem.
Yeah.
And that's why I think people need to be conscious of having at least 3 or 4 midfielders. 4 midfielders allows you to drop to 3 and back to be able to play around with the premiums. And on the face of it, Zuma, Gabriel, Diaz, Robertson, great assets. Dallas is my make weight at 6.4 is the problem.
The problem is there's only really 4 midfielders. I mean, I'm interested in the game, which go back to game week 1, 2, whatever, and it felt like, oh my God, there's 5, 6, 7 brilliant ones. There's only 4 I'm interested in. Grealish, Bruno, Kevin De Bruyne, and Antonio. We never get himself fit. The only ones that particularly interest me now, Antonio's obviously he's a no-go at the moment.
Yep.
So to shove around the Bruno Salah, what I came to the conclusion was I needed a shit midfielder, someone to sit in there. And I came to the conclusion, as I said last week, that Romeo was actually the best choice at sort of under 7 million. The fact that he had the captaincy Monday was a bonus. If they'd have been playing on Sunday, there's still the same transfer that I would have made.
Yep.
So the fact he had the captaincy Monday was little more than a bonus. He can sit there for a while and facilitate what I'm trying to move around. And you are quite right, Suj. That 5-3-2 can be dangerous.
Yeah.
It can be dangerous because a lot of the guys in there that you've got are sort of, Zuma 7.8. If something happens and you want to come off it, you can come off it. But which midfielder or forward are you going to find at 7.8 or lower?
No,
if you haven't got the money spare, right?
This is where Jack Grealish at 8.5 is an incredible asset in this game. To have someone of his quality at that price is ridiculous, and that's what allows you to then juggle around with the rest of the midfielders. He's quite possibly, like, selling him was a mistake. I feel like now selling him was a mistake.
I don't think it was a mistake because there was clear paths this week where you could sell Bruno or Jack Grealish. We discussed that last week. You just need to have the plan to go back. And the awkwardness is, yes, what were you doing with the midfield to enable the moves? So I thought you getting Romeo had solved that problem.
Well, yeah, it had if I hadn't sold Grealish. Obviously, if I'd have sold Grealish for another midfielder or a forward, that would have been fine as well. I could have easily gone from Grealish to Bamford. That's probably what I should have done rather than Ruben Diaz. But I was just a bit starstruck with wanting to get Ruben Diaz because he'd been playing particularly well. So I need to get myself back into a 4-4-2 that I can switch to 4-3-3, 4-4-2, 4-3-3. And one of my defenders is going to have to go. It's more than likely going to be Gabriel for Grealish. But that move doesn't make sense for a number of weeks.
By the way, it's absolutely reasonable to go 5-3-2. You just need to be aware of the
issues, the
pitfalls that can come with it. Yeah.
Yep. You might be going 5-4-1, 5-3-2 is then your juggle and the hokey cokey that
you can't go 5-4-1.
Is that not allowed?
The only formation you can play with 5 at the back is 5-3-2.
Right. Yeah. So there you go. So it just makes it harder to get the gains. Let's talk about captaincy then for this coming week. What are you set for in terms of captaincies?
I'll be Patrick Bamford Friday.
Same as me.
He's probably the best choice. A lot of the guys will have obviously Dallas or Ayling, which is absolutely reasonable. But Bamford's in. That's what I'll be doing. The intention then for me, I'm going to be in an unusual position here. I think I've got 2.9 million in the bank. It's all part of the plan. Intention is to sell Dallas on Friday to Ruben Diaz on Saturday. But I'm wavering on it a little bit. And it's not the selling Dallas, it's the who I'm buying. I might end up going Zuma instead. And the reason for that is, quite simply, it's a concern on captaincy Tuesday. Because Tuesday, all you've got is Wolves, Chelsea and Manchester City against West Brom. Now, on paper, it's fairly obvious. Kevin De Bruyne, if you've got, great. Or Diaz as a nice fallback. There's a little bit of concern in me. And I don't think I can know the decision till after the Manchester derby, which obviously I've got to make the decision of who I buy beforehand. And it might be that I'd bottle it and go Zuma's safe. You'd see the team, know it's good. There has to be concern about the rotation in that City West Brom game, with it being a midweek. Has to be. So I think I will still go Diaz, because that's the right play. I'm also a little bit conscious as well that it's not just the West Brom game that might be rotating. He has played the last few. The partnership of him and Laporte, in spite of whatever Guardiola says is the first choice, and it's important to him, he's not going to want to overly work it during this period. I mean, it's clear that he really wants to give Laporte breaks. At some point, he's going to want to give Diaz a break as well. And if Diaz and De Bruyne have both got the break on Tuesday, that's a little bit of a nightmare. The plus is, and what I think will finally make me decide to lean into Diaz, if I go De Bruyne captain and he doesn't play, I'm going to be in the same position as a lot of people. Mm-hmm. They're all going to be in the same position. The same could be said of Diaz as well. So I think I will still go for it. But it might be that come Saturday, I decide to go Zuma instead. Captaincy on Saturday is not easy. Not at all. You got the Villa boys at Wolves, the early kickoff. Obviously, the Manchester derby is 12:30. The other two games are obviously Everton-Chelsea. So some people might even fall into line of Zuma, for example.
5:30 for Manchester Derby, just to...
It is, yeah. Everton-Chelsea's the 8 o'clock. Wolves-Villa's the first one.
Yeah.
West Brom-Newcastle's the other game. I don't think, even if you're sitting there with Sam Johnson or Cole Dollar, I don't think you're sticking the armband on. So by default, I'll go De Bruyne. I think if you've got De Bruyne or Fernandes, that's, in my opinion, you should still pick one of those guys. Grealish offers an alternative if you still have sitting there. But I'll go De Bruyne. If I had both De Bruyne and Fernandes, I would still go De Bruyne. Because I think what I've spoken about in the FPL pods a number of times this season, the way Manchester United can be damaged when people run at them in central areas, is De Bruyne's greatest asset if he can find a space. And it's highly possible that he won't get any space in that game. But I'll go De Bruyne Saturday.
Yeah.
Sunday.
Salah. Is anyone looking past Salah?
If you've got, it's the straightforward one, isn't it? But it must be said, it's more obvious this week. But Vardy home to Brighton, Kane away to Palace. They're not bad.
Yeah, for sure.
They're not bad. And in your case, looking to kind of move around with, say, Salah and potentially Vardy, for example, it's worth saying, factor in the next game as well. Vardy plays Everton, Salah plays Tottenham. And if you put the two together, I don't know. Might not be a lot in it. If you captain Jamie Vardy twice versus Salah twice, there might not be a lot in it, actually.
Yep.
So, yes, Salah's going to be the standout on Sundays. There's going to be a lot of people who hesitated last week will make the move this Sunday, even more so with the fact that it's Sunday, Wednesday, Saturday. There's obvious gains. There's 3-for-1s over a number of teams as well. Because they've got the free, we presume at time of recording, they're going to pick a very weakened team in the Champions League this evening. They don't play in the Carabao Cup next midweek. I think there will be a little bit of rotation, but I think they can just go hard for a week here and not worry about the consequences afterwards. So Salah Sunday. I mean, if you've got Salah, you're not going to not do it unless all of us get the rumour that many of us did have. Many of us did have on Liverpool and are getting on Liverpool. For example, that Jota wasn't going to play Sunday night. Most of us kind of got winded out on Saturday evening. So it would only be that. That would be the only reason. If I did get wind of that Salah wasn't going to play, then I would stick with armband on Vardy.
On the Tuesday next week, because this is a full-on midweek fixtures game week, match week as well, as we call it. Are we looking past Manchester City assets against West Brom? No,
that's what you want to do. I mean, hopefully De Bruyne will play. That's going to be the obvious one. Diaz is a fullback, like I said. It might be that Zuma. I think a lot of people might shit themselves and go for Zuma. I might be one of them, by the way, because the appeal with Zuma in that fixture as well. You think Wolves, pass and tears. Yeah, there's going to be something for me. If he gets the clean sheet with it, you're potentially looking at a 20-pointer, and that in itself could outdo De Bruyne, for example. But I think, let me just remind you that Palace just scored 5 against West Brom. I know it was with 10 men, so if Palace can score 5 against West Brom... What's that got to do with Wolves? City can score 10, so Kevin De Bruyne... Oh, right,
you're talking about Zuma matching Kevin De Bruyne. I just think it'd be too risky to go away from Kevin De Bruyne in that fixture against West Brom.
But there's a risk of going De Bruyne, that's the point, right?
Oh, well, the risk is rotation, but Pep said it. He doesn't rest players. Pep.
Yeah, okay, mate.
Wednesday.
I will probably go Salah against Tottenham. I might go Bamford against Newcastle, possibly. But I think I'll end up just leaning on Salah.
I think I'm going to go Bamford against Newcastle, just to give me a differential for a game. They're definitely going to create chances, Leeds. That's one thing for sure against that Newcastle defence. So I think I heard it on the Hub Pod, but Bamford's only scored 2 points a couple of times this season. He's always picking up shot tiers. There's Bamford. So I think I might go with Bamford, against Newcastle and roll the dice.
If you buy him.
Yeah, of course. And then on the Thursday?
It's not straightforward. I mean, I'm going to go back to Bruno on the Thursday from Vardy. That's part of my plan at the moment. It's not straightforward. Fernandes away to Sheffield United, Grealish at home to Burnley. It's not straightforward. I think I'll end up going Grealish, actually. Purely because of United's run, in the sense that, obviously, it's Manchester Derby this week, just gone out of the Champions League. They play Thursday. Then it's Leeds Sunday. Then they've got League Cup quarter-final against Everton on the Wednesday. Then Premier League on the Saturday against Leicester. Then Tuesday against Wolves. So they are 3 days for quite a while, starting from that Sheffield United fixture. It's the one they should be able to do without him of all those fixtures. So I'm a little bit conscious and nervous of that potentially. So I might end up going Grealish next Thursday, actually, because it's still a great fixture at home to Burnley as well, right?
Yeah.
So, but I'll be getting Fernandes back in, even in spite of what I'm just saying on the concern of that. I'll definitely still at least get him back in, because Vardy's then playing on the what day do they play? They must play the same day as United do at that weekend. Well, do they play each other?
Which weekend are you talking about?
Leicester play at Tottenham on the Sunday when Man United play Leeds. So the game is still Wednesday to Thursday for me for that move. So I would definitely still make that move on Thursday.
Okie dokie. That's the captaincies for the next week. I'm just going to pull up the questions that we've had from the audience on Twitter, James, in amongst all the retweets for the bronze medal that we won yesterday.
Do we actually get a medal for that shit?
I have no idea, but if we don't, then I will make one out of a milk bottle top and present it to you when we meet again.
I look forward to that, sir.
Let's start. I'm going to go to the bottom and work my way up. And thank you again to everybody that sent these questions in. It keeps the pod going. Patricio, best captaincy against Villa on the Saturday? ? That's coming from Kermit, the winger, Sky FF.
No. I still think if you've got De Bruyne or Fernandes or Grealish, you're going to have one of them three, surely.
Yeah, why? I don't see why Patricio would be the best captaincy option. I mean, other than if you were really, really, really scared of rotation and you wanted to know the team. But Villa have been scoring goals. I mean, they only scored the one against us, but they should have scored more.
Villa have scored in every away game.
Yeah, I don't see why Patricio would be the best captaincy against Villa on Saturday at all.
No, not for me.
No. Question for you. How's your B team doing? This is coming in from Lee Bishop.
Right. It's had a difficult couple of weeks because obviously so many premiums going off together. But my strategy with the B team is strictly one player from a team, strictly. Yep. I only make transfers essentially if I need captaincy cover. The plan is to make serious moves in January during the blank double period. And then at that point, I'll have 3 from City or 3 from Liverpool, that kind of thing, and then go back to it sort of after overhaul. Depends obviously on the way the fixtures work out. It's obviously been a bad week from that perspective. I mean, it's 7,500 with a number of transfers left. I've got 33 left in that. To be honest, it's unfortunate that the transfer I've had to make have been for injuries, basically. But it's doing okay. It's an experimental strategy to see how it does, to see how a dead team essentially can perform in Sky. So look, it's 7,500, 33 transfers left. He's quite well positioned.
Mine's at 38,000 with 32 transfers left. I've just been making transfers as and when. I'm not managing it. I'll be honest with you. It's enough headspace to manage the first team to have a real long strategy around it. I'm just going to... Last year, I half managed one team. So this year, I'm going to fully manage one team. Maybe next year, I'll get big enough to manage 2 teams. You know, one thing at a time.
We're just all pleased that you're logging in, mate.
Yeah. Fish FPL. As someone that missed the planned Fernandes to Salah switch on Sunday, what would your advice be now? I'm reluctant to make that move now, knowing I've missed out.
Make it this Sunday.
Exactly. And James Cage jumped in. You can still get a gain on the fixtures. And you didn't make that move. I mean, if you were hesitant like me and you didn't make that move because you looked at the Wolves fixture as potentially a tough one, with Fulham next. So you think that Salah won't go off against Fulham? I understand there's that mindset of chasing points when they've just happened, but I don't think it's relevant in this situation specifically.
The reality is Fulham, Tottenham, Palace, West Brom, Newcastle, Southampton, Burnley. Those are Liverpool's fixtures coming up. Don't many of them days you ain't going to want to captain Mo Salah. At some point, you're going to want to get the trigger done. Now, there is a small case that you could jump off after Palace, get 2 games to someone else, go back when they play West Brom, maybe even skip it. If you think he's going to be rotated, it's on the Sunday in match week 15, for example. But getting Salah in is a priority for most people, I think, now.
Glenn Roy, is the mindset now for James in particular, brackets, sorry, Suj, with the emoji that he's got big teardrops coming out, laughing. I can win this.
Yeah,
I'll
that's
say something, Glenn. I can win this still. It's going to
yes, you
take a
can.
hell of a push, but I'm still playing with the mindset that I can win it. My challenge is going to be at some point I'm going to have to take a little bit more of a different approach and a gamble, and that can either propel me back up to catch up with you, or it will leave me further 50 points behind. At which point, then it's going to be more of a struggle. But at the
My
moment,
mindset has always been first.
mhm.
Always. Yes. I mean, look, now I'm in a strong position. 28 transfers left. It's a little bit more than I would have wanted to use, but a lot of that's been enforced because of injuries. So it's
Yep.
fine. I've spoke for a number of weeks about not being hesitant in this period, getting shit done. Chances are I'm going to make another 2 transfers in the next 8 days or so because I think they're the right things to do. Then I want to hold off a bit. There's obviously the Chelsea game coming up in a couple of weeks. I want some of that. Obviously, the other thing is if I go zoom over Diaz now, that solves that potential problem. The problem then is I've got no entry point to Diaz.
Yep.
This for me leads to City because I've left the money as the real entry point for Diaz this week. So I think I'll still go for Diaz. But yeah, first, honestly, I keep telling people on the Patreon Slack channel, someone's winning it. Someone's going to win it. And you said at the start, it probably will be someone we know. I expect it probably will be. You have to remember, as I say several times, how many bad players there are at this game. I'm roughly, what did I say, 550th or something. I know that half the people in front of me have used like 30, 35 transfers and stuff.
It's ridiculous.
We did have one guy last week complaining to Sky that they couldn't make any transfers.
You made 5 already in the week.
No, he'd made 40.
Fantastic. Kelvin, guest chef.
He accepted it quite graciously, by the way. He was like, oh, okay.
Should we be bringing Bamford in ASAP? Leeds games to the overhaul look mint.
To be honest, I don't like the fact you're buying him Friday.
Why?
I like it from the perspective that you buy him and you'll make him captain, and then he could be your captain against Newcastle as well. The fixtures do look good. I agree, because after Man United, there's Burnley, West Brom as well. It is a good run, even if you look further ahead. Tottenham, Southampton, Brighton, Newcastle. Yes. It's worth saying Bamford, though. I think fixtures it doesn't matter, particularly.
As well.
He's having shots against big teams and stuff. He scored against Chelsea at the weekend. It's just not the right entry point. I'd prefer you to try and work something where you could buy him from Wednesday for one of the guys you were selling on Tuesday. Admittedly, what you probably need for that is like a nice Wolves asset, which not many of us will have at the moment. I understand it. I just don't like buying players in the first day of a game week. That for me, that's a move to make when you've got someone injured in the week. It's not the best plan in principle.
I mean, it comes back down to I've hamstrung myself, where the only way that I can get to Salah is by making that move where I'm not going to get a fixture gain.
In hindsight, Grealish probably to Bamford Saturday gone was a very good entry point.
Yeah, I just shouldn't have sold Grealish for a defender, basically. But you live and learn. You live and learn. Warren Moon, are the rearranged games from Gameweek 1 and Newcastle Villa likely to be played before or after the overhaul, James? We know when the overhaul is now.
Yes, that's now the end of begins when match week 23. I say match week as in Premier League match week 23. Manchester United, highly likely. Manchester City, a little bit more in doubt. So United going out the Champions League last night fucks them in terms of 3 midweeks, because obviously they're in the Europa League. Essentially, should United beat Everton in the League Cup quarterfinals, they are buggered for midweek rearrangement possibilities. Completely buggered. Because the semi-final date would obviously open up 1. Should they win that as well, that's also going to cause a postponement for them when the final's on, although that midweek straight afterwards is available. Should United, as it stands now, should United get to the League Cup final and get to, say, the FA Cup quarterfinals, they are probably at some point already going to have to play 3 times in a week somewhere. It's not looking good. So I think it's highly likely, in fact, extremely likely now, that Manchester United and Burnley from game week 1 will go into match week 18, 19, We know half of the fixtures from 18 are going to be moved to the following midweek after the match week 19 fixtures. So essentially it's 2 midweeks. Currently, Manchester United are scheduled to play Fulham in the midweek of 18, Liverpool on the weekend of match week 19, and have the midweek afterwards free.
That's where the Burnley games go.
You'll either get Burnley goes in there, or Burnley will go into 18 and they'll move the Fulham game to 19.
Right.
I think, to be honest, you're probably more likely that Burnley, Manchester United will probably just drop into that midweek of 19. And then, interestingly, they and Burnley are possibly the only two sides that in that bracket period are going to play 3 times. The flip is, 2 of those fixtures for United are obviously Burnley and Fulham, with Liverpool in the middle. Is that a rotation headache? We'll know a little bit more when we get there. Villa Man City is a little bit tougher to read because City can obviously use the Champions League midweeks, where the last 32 stages spread over 4 midweeks. So there are 2-3 midweeks. And assuming as well that we don't get 20,000 fans back in the ground, they could do a 6 o'clock kickoff at the moment now. We're obviously seeing them. So that doesn't even bother UEFA. So UEFA can still obviously have the Champions League exclusivity at 8 o'clock. So a little bit more doubt on Villa City. The Villa-Newcastle game can obviously go anywhere. It won't be in 2020. The earliest it can be is after match week 17 in the midweek. That's if Newcastle lose to Brentford in the Carabao Cup quarterfinals. That's also, I think that's unlikely. Villa-Newcastle, I wouldn't be surprised if it's not played till match week 31, 32, something like that, honestly. It's not in Villa's interest to rearrange the game. You could wait till April, May. They might be able to get 25,000 fans at the ground.
That's true. Yeah. So there is one game that more than likely will be, and the couple that we don't know necessarily.
Burnley Man United's highly likely now to be in mid-January. City Villa are a little bit more unpredictable. We might even know in the next 7 to 8 days or so if that's going to be. I think if it's for Man United, we'll know by next Friday, by the way, if that's going to be the case. City, we may well know as well, but it's hard to predict. Villa Newcastle said, I don't think there's any rush to rearrange that game.
Dan McKenna, what round of the Cup would you start taking it seriously, as in making extra transfers just to progress in the Cup? I'm out of the Cup, so.
Oh yeah, I was out like first round as well. I went out
in the 5th round, but you know.
I wonder if we're going to have a second Cup actually, because the finals obviously match week 22.
Yeah.
So there are, by my maths, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 weeks left. 9 weeks left of that Cup. So what's 2 times 2 times 2 by 9? What have you got? About 500 players left still?
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, what I would do with that is, if I would only concentrate at the moment if my league position was shit. If I genuinely knew 100% I've got no chance of finishing in the top 5 in the league, that's the only way I would be treating the Cup seriously at this stage. I think once you get down to 5 or 6 games left, then you really are looking at double digits of players that are left, and it becomes interesting. You're down to 64 or 32 players, for example. Then it's interesting. The one advice I would give on that for those who are, and we've got one of our patrons who's still in, Gary Shepherd, shout out, my friend. We keep talking about how to manipulate this. His league rank, admittedly, is not the best, although he's doing quite well. But he probably himself thinks, like, I'm not going to come in the top 5 in the league. I'm conscious of what I'm doing with this. So one of the first things I said to him, never make a transfer on that first day.
Right.
Like on the Saturday, or say for Friday this week. So all you know, you're coming. For all you know,
fixtures.
For all you know, you're coming up against a fluky dead team.
Yeah.
Who ain't even got captains set. Everybody see last week how they had to set their captains again because of the Villa Newcastle postponement. Be careful with that app, children. So so we're just looking at that with Gary, kind of day by day. Monday, I think he went for Ward-Prowse. Anyway, 10% of the game actually bought James Ward-Prowse on Monday night. Interestingly,
that's a hell of a lot.
But I know he was 20 points ahead or so anyway. But he was a player that, for a number of reasons, it was acceptable to go and buy anyway. 10% of other players have bought him. So we're just looking at it day to day with him at the moment. We've got an eye on that. Listen, forever's asking the question, if you draw Gary Shepherd, I'm telling you, you're in trouble.
Leon Hobson, 2 questions here. Leon Hobson and James K will answer both together. With overhaul confirmed for early Feb, how many remaining transfers would you like to have on the other side? James K says, planning ahead, what's the minimum number of transfers you'd recommend having left in the bank by the end of game week 16? Currently,
at the end of 16?
Game week 16. I don't know. that's the same as match week in terms of overhauls. My
That's
current
New Year.
plans
That's
would be
December the 31st or
24
so.
or
The end of
25. By that point, I'm currently on 29.
24 probably for me.
I'm on 28 and I'm planning to use 4. So I'll probably end up using 5. So I'll be down to 23. And then maybe another 2 or 3 before the overhaul. So I reckon I'll be down to 20 by the time we get to overhaul.
I think 24 for me. One of my contingencies at the moment
At
is
the end of the year or for overhaul?
End of the year, 24. Yeah. One of my contingencies at the moment, I'm obviously looking to buy Chelsea when they've got the Monday fixture against West Ham in match week 14. That's the best entry point for them. Any injury between now and then, my contingency is that's the move to Chelsea anyway. So hypothetically, should Gabriel get injured for Arsenal on Sunday, I would buy Zuma on Tuesday, for example. That's kind of falling into my contingency plan at the moment. In terms of up to the end of match week 23, when the overhaul is, that depends entirely on what happens with 18 and 19 and what games move and what don't, and whether the United City fixtures go in there or not. How many gains are there? It's really difficult to answer, but I think it's acceptable at the end of there to even be as low as 15 left.
Prediction
15
time.
left with 15 game weeks to go. And then you've got an overhaul period that hopefully you'd like to think you can cover yourself for 3 game weeks or so.
In a row, yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Benno Babes FF, prediction time, James. How many people from the Patreon mini league do you think will finish in the top 100?
In the top 100?
10? 5, 10?
Yeah, about 10, yeah.
10. And is that including you and me? Or not including you and me?
No, it includes me. It doesn't include you.
I'll be in the top 100.
You won't.
How much you want to bet? How much you want to bet?
How much you want to bet?
Yeah.
I'll tell you what. Do you want to offer that 10 grand on the line that I said I'll give you if I win it?
Yeah, we can do that. Kelvin says, what defenders would you recommend for under 8 million tier bonus magnets? Is Reece James nailed on to start for Chelsea every week? I don't think I'm ever going to answer predicting a lineup question for any team ever again.
Zuma is the better choice in this game.
Already own Dallas, Zuma, and Diaz. I own those 3. I also own Gabriel. Gabriel's pretty good for passing tiers as well. So that might be one that you want to look at and consider. But Reece James is not a bad price either.
Gabriel's a really interesting one because I'm not sure if the passing tiers are now ironically actually going to begin to calm down because they look like they're moving to a back 4 consistently now. So that may have a knock on when obviously prior he was playing as essential as a back 5 ordinarily, sometimes to the left, but he normally had Tierney left side centre half next to him. We obviously we did an extended podcast on Arsenal yesterday and I threw out a lot of numbers about passing statistics for Arsenal on that podcast. And obviously the conclusion we come to build up too slow. So that you might find that Arsenal decide to go back to front a little bit quicker. That's one of the things they need to do to solve the creativity problem. Just move the fucking ball faster would help them a lot. So it might be that Gabriel's passing tiers calm down a little bit. The flip is they are about to walk into a really nice set of fixtures. Burnley, Southampton, Everton, Chelsea, Brighton, West Brom, Crystal Palace, and Newcastle is Arsenal's next 8, sorry. It's a good run, actually.
Yep.
It's a good run. And the player we haven't spoke about for Sunday is Aubameyang.
I knew you were going to say it.
Is there no question in the Sky question? I haven't seen the question. No question on Aubameyang at all. Because if there isn't, that's fascinating. Suj is looking. He's looking.
There is.
There's an Aubameyang. Go on, throw it in.
Batman Joe.
Hello, Joe.
Bit rogue, but thoughts on hopping from Bruno to Aubameyang for Arsenal's home games versus Burnley and Southampton before getting Bruno back for the Sheffield United game? Worth a punt or waste of 2 transfers?
I don't mind it, especially if for whatever reason that money you can't get to Salah. I think Aubameyang's 11.7.
Bit cheap.
But if for some reason that 0.3 is a problem, yeah, listen, Burnley at home. We've spoken about Vardy, Kane, Salah, all options for Sunday. Why is Aubameyang not home to Burnley? One of the major issues with Aubameyang, a lot of people who owned early in the season and last season will be able to explain this. It's the lack of shot tiers is always concerning with him. And you always feel like he's 1-1-1-1-1 when he scores as well. It feels like that. But I know Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang's won 2 goals so far this season. He is 9 behind Calvert-Lewin. I think Son scored as many goals as Arsenal overall, wasn't he?
Yep.
But at some point, he's going to get goals. They have to change the way they're playing. And if they do what I said in terms of moving the ball from back to front, and I don't mean long balls up to a target man, but just moving it between lines quicker, they might begin to have some success. And this is a really good entry point for Aubameyang. Honestly, look, I wouldn't even just look at the 2 games. Look at that next set of 7 fixtures or so. It's 8 fixtures. It's brilliant. You don't have to worry about the rotation too much for him either.
Yeah, that's true.
I don't hate it. It's a gamble. To be honest, we discussed this for FPL. No one's going to advise buying him at the moment. You've got some cojones to do it. But honestly, that run of 8 fixtures they have is very good.
I'm not interested in Aubameyang. I'll just put it out there.
It won't be for me either. I would probably look at it more and go, when they play Brighton on the Tuesday in match week 16, if they've improved, I'm still going to get a really good run of Brighton, West Brom, Palace and Newcastle.
Another question from Joe. Let's go through some rapid fire ones. Gator to Pope when they play Villa on the 17th.
Gator to Pope. They're also an interesting one, Burnley, because I reckon probably up until now and the end of the year, them and Liverpool probably have the best set of fixtures, ironically, on my fixture tracker. Arsenal away this week, Villa away, Wolves at home. Doesn't sound great. Then Leeds, Sheffield United, Fulham. Is interesting. Feels like timing is not quite right for that. Nick Pope is the only player you should ever consider buying from Burnley, by the way, if you need that sort of captaincy coverage. One of the issues, though, is after the New Year period, Liverpool, West Ham, Villa, Chelsea, Man City is a rough 5 fixtures. It's a big, important period for Burnley, and they will keep some clean sheets over this period. You can be certain of it. And I wouldn't be surprised if they do quite well. Not for me, though. Not when you're not gonna need it for captaincy or anything. I'd be amazed. It was a possibility. Burnley and Fulham could be Monday in match week 17. There's one of 4 fixtures that could go there. My instinct is there probably won't be a Monday fixture. One of the things I did notice, because that's January the 4th on the Monday, I noticed that when Sky have put their Christmas advert out for the amount of football they show, and the date on there is the amount of games they're showing is up to January the 4th. Doesn't say January the 3rd.
No.
It doesn't mean it doesn't include championship games and stuff like that, admittedly, as well. But it could be that Sky know they've got a January the 4th game, at least one. Yes, Burnley Fulham could be one of them. That would be shit. Also, on there's a number of games could be the Friday, January the 1st as well. The most likely, I think, is Chelsea against Manchester City on New Year's Day. So that's not a concern for anybody if that's what it is.
No. Dragon Sky FF says, when is the best time to come off Kearney and who to replace him? Asking for a friend. Well, if you had that Monday night fixture and you owned Kearney, you'd think, oh, there's an armband. But I think that would be one that almost a lot of us would skip, to be honest with you.
If you can get Tom Kearney to Jack Grealish next Thursday, that's as straightforward as it could possibly be. I don't know what Tom Kearney's value is because his passing tiers dropped off even before he came out of the team anyway, because he started playing too high and the team was playing at 10. He's now out of the team at the moment. Fulham have improved, actually, without him. Again, they've started moving the ball between lines quicker. What price Tom Kearney, Suj? Did you look?
I have not looked, but it's cheap. Whatever it is, it's cheap.
He's about 7-7 or something. It can't be too much between Kearney and Grealish. If you can make that move next Thursday when Villa play Burnley, that would be ideal.
Best time. And one more question, to be honest with you, James, before we wrap up, which is Ben Miller. Now that Suj is big time on French and Norwegian TV, does he even need to win Sky FF? I want to do that paper.
I'm really pleased that Tom Kearney's 7-7, by the way.
Is he?
Yeah.
Good shout. Good guess. The answer, Ben, is if I win the 50 grand, you always need 50 grand. So yes, I do need the 50 grand. I still want to win it. Going to win it. Ian Parrin's got the last question of the show. However, we have answered it.
Should we just change this section to Ian Parrin's last question of the show?
Last question of the show. Yeah,
okay.
Indeed it will be. Planet Sky, Ian Parrin. Follow him for fixture-related stuff and planning and what have you.
Just because he's a bloody nice bloke.
Indeed.
Enough a good reason, actually.
My question this week is, what percentage of remaining transfers would you recommend people using between now and the second overhaul? Or would you want to have a certain amount left at that point, irrespective of how many used so far? We've answered that. I'm looking at
Yeah,
about
kind of.
20,
I
20,
wouldn't get stuck in a plan of thinking what 23 is going to look like, because I want to know what 18, 19 looks like. We do know one of the games has moved, by the way, not officially, but Sam Inkersol, who's quite in the know with West Ham, broke
Indeed.
the news last night that the West Ham West Brom game is moving from match week 18 to 19. You can jump on West Ham that weekend of 19, and they got Burnley, West Brom, and Crystal Palace. Depending on the way that lays, that could be Sunday to Saturday, you know. There's some nice free fixtures, that. And that'll be everybody back on Mikel Antonio until he does his hamstring
Yeah,
20 minutes in against Burnley. But we know that's one of the fixtures that's going to move, is West Ham and West Brom is going to go into match week 19. It also, by the way, should put you off a little bit in terms of West Ham assets. It's not a brilliant one. There's good exit points from West Ham in the next two. Like if you are sitting there with Antonio still for whatever reason, bin him off for someone on Saturday, Sunday. If you're still there on Wednesday, you can bin him for Grealish. If you haven't got Jack Grealish on the Thursday, then you can possibly consider going back to them. It's a tougher run. Chelsea, Brighton, Southampton, Everton's not the best. And then now you know they're going to miss that 18 midweek. So West Ham really is a no-go zone at the moment. But I don't hate Fabianski as a long-term pick potentially defensively. Soufal 6.1. Like, you can do worse than these guys. Got an article from our West Ham correspondent who's written on Sky and their assets for us as well. Will get published today.
Indeed. There we go. And that is all of the questions. A good solid rundown on everything that's going on.
I just gave that article a big sell, didn't I?
Yeah. There we go. If you need more podcasts,
don't buy their assets. We've got an article on them.
We've got if you need more podcasts, head over to patreon.com/Planet FPL. Otherwise, subscribe wherever you're listening to the pod. Stay safe wherever you are. We'll be back at you with the rest of the week and more content. Ciao for now.
Thanks, everyone. Good luck for the game week. Cue music, please, man, child.